The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up and giddy up, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Failure to Stop podcast. It's Flagship Friday, folks, and that means we are going to be talking about a case that is either past or present. Today is present because a former president of the United States was raided by a law enforcement agency, another three-letter alphabet soup agency, the FBI. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? What do we know? What can we speculate about with any intelligence? What do we have to wait on? Is this normal? Is it abnormal? We want to kind of talk about this and start to zoom in as far as we can. What can we make out of this? And we're going to talk about that. We always take care of some housekeeping items first, of course. And one of those things is, if this is a brand new experience for you, you're here. This is, I'm Mike, and this is Eric. He's a beautiful, beautiful man. Just look at him. Would you just look at him? And the ever faithful underpaid producer behind the cameras and all of the buttons that need to be pushed to make this happen. So welcome. We're glad you're here. We have 4 shows a week right now. This is the flagship show. We do case breakdowns. Like I said, past or present and police involved activities. Mondays, myself and Dave break down law enforcement related news around the country and give our take on that. Tuesday nights, Andrea and Eric do true crime on live on the YouTubes at 8 p.m. So you can check that out on Tuesday nights. And then Thursday's last call. This is an audio only last call with Eric, giving you cool interviews and pop culture stuff so that you can sound like a normal person through the week. And you can watch everything actually being recorded live. Every show will be live for you if you're a member on our YouTube channel. So you can check that out. Gives you access to the Discord. You can support us at failuretostop.com. You can grab merch. We have the new Andrea Up Late collection. Some cool 80s vibe tees that are actually pretty cool. So if you want to support the show that way, get that. We have our sticker pack left. We have some left of that. Make sure you grab those. Am I forgetting anything, Eric? I mean, we have a sponsor, it's GhostBed, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, ghostbed.com. We've got a meetup in Wilmington, North Carolina for Andrea and I. We will be meeting with fans for free at Rocco's Cigar Bar in Wilmington on June 26th. Is that what it is? Yep, it's that Friday night, June 26th. You can come meet us. There it is, Rocco's Cigar Bar, Wilmington, North Carolina, August 26th. Come and hang out, have some of my rum, have a cigar, hang out with Andrea Uplate and myself. We'll be answering questions, just shooting the breeze. We'll be there from 7 till yes. So,
all right.
There you go. That's all I got. That, and I want to make a real quick apology, Mike. Do I have time for an apology? Sure. On behalf of Failure to Stop, I want to apologize for Andrea's wardrobe malfunction. You know, she showed a little bit of shoulder on Tuesday night's episode. She had one of those shirts. Oh, wow. Her shoulder slipped out of the shirt and exposing her shoulder. I know that one fan was offended, told us that we could do better. And you're right, we can. So we have addressed the issue, and Andrea will be definitely dressed to impress Tuesday night. There will be no shoulder. She will be into place just like we like our women, right? We want our women
up to the neck.
Yes. Just shy of a burqa. So
why not go the whole way? Why not a head cover?
Because I'm conservative. Because I'm a little bit liberal. I'm not that conservative. Okay. I don't believe that I think the woman should be able to show some skin, just a little bit. So I'm going to allow her to show just the face for Tuesday.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that you guys are covering that controversy that I wasn't even aware existed.
Yo, did you not see the Instagram story?
No, I didn't.
It was incredible. It was my best one yet. So for those of you who don't know and you don't follow our Instagram, somebody complained that Andrea was showing too much shoulder during the episode, and that we could do better. And if she focused more on her content than exposing her shoulder, she'd be able to listen to the show, which is really funny because she did not really show a lot of shoulder on the show. So
Well,
I
yeah,
took
in the industry, we all know shoulders sell.
shoulders do sell. So I took all these Amish pictures and then I photoshopped her face onto all these Amish girls and said, we have addressed the problem. And I posted it all up and our fans loved it. And one of our fans remembers her being called a Hooters waitress manager from one of our other guests. So we took a Hooters manager and they photo and post her face on the Hooters manager. And so everybody had a lot of fun with, a very funny Andrea up late moment, which of all the things to complain about on the show, I mean, I say some Mike, you say some pretty messed up things from time to time. We both say lots of funny jokes that we don't really get a lot of backlash for, but she gets the backlash from the shoulder thing, which I thought's very, very funny.
I gotta love it. Well, I'm glad that controversy is being handled. Let's thank the Wolfpack for their reviews. If you want to help grow us in the rankings, you can download the podcast, like hit the plus button on Apple Podcasts, hit the follow button on Spotify, and drop a rating or review and tell friends about the show. So you guys, when you leave reviews, we like to thank you by reading them out loud on the show. What do we got? First one, Pride Eric, which by the way, I got a DM from somebody. All right, Ryan. He is Bleed Blue 1967 on Instagram. It's not mail call, but he says, "Hey, I'm proposing to my girlfriend tomorrow." Sends me this video of like the ring and stuff like that. I'm like,
Did you just out him? Did you just out him?
Well, this was yesterday, so he's proposing today. Shit.
You just out. They're driving to wherever he's proposing, listening to the show.
Sorry,
and you just outed him.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Oh my god!
I hope she's not listening.
Congrats!
I had my proposal ruined, and what is going on with you?
Sorry, dang it!
You asshole!
God. Shoot, dude.
Did you mean to do that?
No.
Are you just being funny?
No, I literally just was like, oh, he said something funny in a DM to me.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was still funny. He said, I tell him congrats. He said if he has a son, he's naming him Mike Tansey.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
I just thought that was funny, and I was going to share that on the show today. And,
well, on behalf of Ryan, will you marry me?
Yes, please say yes.
Please say yes, because this will be very awkward for the show. We need to see a picture of all of this. Ryan, if you're listening,
sorry.
Good luck, dude. Good luck, man.
Sorry if your girlfriend or future fiance or not future fiance now will yeah, my bad.
How embarrassing. Like her mom's listening to the show. Like she doesn't even know. She's like, he hasn't even asked our father yet. It's like just ruins this guy's life.
Ring. It seems nice. I'm not like a ring guy. So, but I mean,
was that rose gold? It was beautiful.
Yeah. Tell you the difference between rose or
it was cubic zirconium. Don't say yes. That was cubic zirconium. It's not a real diamond. I'm an expert.
Sorry, bro.
Get you a good ring.
Man, I didn't even really think about that. Sometimes
cool peasant ring, bro.
Yeah, well. All right. Well,
anyways,
it's only one way to go, and that's forward, guys. Let's read this review. Pride Eric, 5 stars. Orgasmic to my ears. This show is phenomenal. Perfect mixture of seriousness and comedy relief. Very informative with the best ad reads. Since both watching and listening to the show, I have taken control of my ED problems, keeping my energy up with Cardomax, taking it hard while staying cool and comfortable in my ghost bed, and always finishing up with the freshness of Rip Pack.
Man, I wish I would have took some Rip Pack today. We had some guests come in from Ohio, and I'm such a POS. I can't even remember their names already. I'm such a dirtbag, and I apologize. They're here in studio too. They're just out there watching it. So I will learn your names. I will know them tonight. I'm such a piece of garbage. But I have been bombing coffee since early this morning, and they came in and they wanted to talk, and I'm just like giving them my morning coffee breath just, with no Rip Pack.
Heck yeah, boys.
Whoopsies.
Go ahead, Tansey. Read this one.
Oh my gosh. Captain of the Scurvy Ding. Might want to get that checked out. Listen, Tansey, show is gosh dang amazing. You must look at the evidence. Troopers have even America, the great special operators, in fear of violating the VTL that they don't switch their plates for bank robberies. Okay, I'm a little behind on the episodes. And he's drunk.
I don't know what any of it meant.
Don't drink and review. Just kidding. You should do that because it makes it funny.
And that's why we don't like troopers. Like shit like that is why we can't respect troopers, because they even talk in trooper. Nobody understands that.
B. Jacobs 73. I think it's a play on letters. BJ Jacobs or B. Jacobs. I don't know. 5 stars. Better than sex with a training officer. That's tough to compete with. Been a huge fan of Mike the Cop. I've been a big fan of Mike the Cop and so glad Off the Cuff is back. Love the content and information on police issues, true crime, and just some burnt balloon knots busting laughter. Oh my God. Didn't see that coming. That's what she said. Keep it up. Keep it up. Guys, thanks so much for the reviews. We appreciate it. We love you. Housekeeping is officially done. Here we go.
True Breezy says in the comments on the live YouTubes, he says the homeboy is driving with her and he's staring straight ahead as if they didn't hear it.
Sorry. Gosh. Talk about a complete brain malfunction on my part. I was just driving across the brain bridge and I didn't even realize it was out and I'm at the bottom falling in and sinking in my car.
What's even better is that there's some other chick out there with her boyfriend's name is Ryan. They're driving together right now. Her eyes are all, her heart's pounding. She's like, and he's like, honey, that is not me. I've never fucking messaged those guys in my life.
Bleed blue 1967. I'm bleed blue 1967 ! That's it's different Ryan.
Oh man,
sorry everybody, ruined that day. Maybe.
Oh, God,
they don't listen live. Hopefully they listen to Off the Cuff later on. What if that's like one of their routines on Friday is to go to dinner to listen to Off the Cuff and then he's gonna walk out and propose.
Oh God,
that comment about you can whatever. Okay, blah blah blah. Everybody else can read it. The underpaid producer just had a stroke. I don't know what's going on.
No, that was me. I put it up there.
Eric, would you stop doing that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Looking out. All right.
Gosh, man.
I was like, my brain, I had a seizure. It was like on and off.
My hand was on the clicker.
And then Eric clicked it again. And then so I clicked it again. He clicked it again because we were both trying to put it back up. It is what it is.
I'm sorry. I won't do it. I just got excited because I learned, when you learn something new and you want to like show people that you learned it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like me with StreamYard. Like, now look at me. I can put something up. If I want to put this up here, I can, because I know how to do it. I could do this. Oh, look at that. I can just do all the things, man.
Oh, that was a good comment. What did Brittany say? Brittany said Mike was ruining people's lives. He's almost as bad as the FBI today. Oh my gosh. That's a great, perfect segue. Yeah. So I just don't even watch the news anymore. And Eric, you called me and was like, hey, did you hear that Trump's house Mar-a-lago is being raided? And I'm like, no, of course not.
First of all, let's stop right there. Where in this relationship did we get to the point where I call you and you just answer the phone? What you got? We used to be a lot more romantic. I feel like at the beginning of the relationship, it was, hey, bud, or hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Now we're at the point in our relationship where it's just, yeah, what you got? And I feel like maybe we need to rekindle the love or something. I'm not going down this rabbit hole with you.
I think when I answered
next, we're going to be sleeping in separate beds.
I was watching a TV show, falling asleep on the couch, and just tapped the answer on my Apple Watch and was like, hello. What can I do you for?
Yeah, maybe we should sleep in separate beds. You kind of snore too much. It's kind of getting loud. I mean, I still love you. I just, maybe 2 nights a week. I mean, that's how it starts. That's how it builds. Next thing you know, you're smelling like weird perfume that I don't recognize, and you're planning surprise birthday parties, and who knows? This house is not a home.
You're on top of this Trump raid situation, and I think it would be really awesome if anybody was transparent. I feel like it's really odd. Here's my perspective. Wow, whoa! There's a orange man bad is on the screen right now. So
he does look like the villain out of a bad Disney movie, though.
Yeah, him and the UK Prime Minister Boris or whatever his name is, they're like twinning. They're twins.
The Canadian guy. The Canadian guy Trudeau looks like a freaking bad guy
Trudeau
too.
looks like a villain. I'm talking about just the look of like an overweight, older white dude with weird hair.
Gotcha.
Trump
Yeah.
looks like the UK guy.
Yeah.
They're twins. Like I think, yeah, there you go. Now
Goodness gracious. Look at that ragamuffin. If that dude was an attorney,
this is what I should do with my hair for the day.
if that guy was an attorney and he was like, do you want to go to trial? I don't care if it was for like a bullshit like seatbelt violation that I would never take to trial. If some asshole came up to me and was like, we're taking this to trial, I'd be like, game on, dude. You look like a public defender. You look like a loser.
The lowest possible score to pass law school in the bar.
Yeah, he's wearing Crocs, I bet. Because
he definitely is not going golfing with partners. He's going to a greasy spoon restaurant in between cases by himself.
I know. Diving through these cases, though, talking about this, it really makes me feel like, what is that movie where the girl's got the bow and arrow and she's like hunting other kids?
Hunger Games.
What is it? Yeah, Hunger Games. I feel like when I research all this shit, like I was like trying to pull up pictures of Hillary Clinton and then Trump and this raid and all these judges. I feel like we are in the Hunger Games because they all look like, in the Hunger Games, you can tell all the bad guys are the bad guys because they all look like pieces of shit. Well, how come like every politician that we have looks like a piece, like they look like the villain out of a movie?
Because
are we in the Hunger Games?
We're a culture of self-fulfilling prophecies. We watch too many movies, and so we want our real life to mirror the movies we watch. We just live it.
You're right, because we have like the whole Batman. So we got like Beetlejuice over in Chicago that she looks like she's out of a Batman movie. You got that dude out of New York, Gavin Newsom. He's looking like he's out of the Batman movie. Who's the guy that looks like Penguin these days? I forgot that guy. We had him on. We talked about him before. I can't remember who it was. But
we had him on.
No, like we did a story about a guy, one of these politicians, and we brought him up, and he looks like Penguin.
I don't remember.
But, I can't remember which politician.
Here's as an observer of what's going on, a couple of things really stand out to me about when I hear the news without knowing anything about it at a surface level. I look at this and go, hold on a second, man. For years, politicians have been doing shady shit, right? And not just one side or the other. Everybody, right? Richard Nixon was a Republican. Okay, so like people have been doing shady shit for forever, right? Even my beloved Ronald Reagan probably did shady shit. I accept the fact that politicians at the highest levels are only at the highest levels because they've done shady shit, right? Like it's just the way it is, which is why I think we should get more involved in local politics, because that's the only way to rebuild and regrow something that can have some semblance of trust that somebody who, came up legitimately. But this is the problem with career politicians anyway. But let's not get off on that tangent. I look at this and go, wait a second, man. Hillary Clinton, the sheer number of the problems with emails, the problems with documented issues with human trafficking, their connections to Epstein himself, Ghislaine Maxwell, all this stuff, Hunter Biden, the information on the laptop, the blatant known connections. We did a show on this, right? Like the actual references and the established connections to the current sitting president with corruption in the Ukraine and with Hunter Biden and China. And you look at all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, like the FBI is looking for documents in Trump's house. Like, why is the FBI looking there, but they're not raiding Hunter Biden's house? What is going on? Like, I look at it like that from just a casual observer. And then I think I play the devil's advocate. I'm like, well, wait a second. Why, if Trump has nothing to hide, why wouldn't Trump have immediately? Because he would definitely have been provided a copy. We all know. Well, maybe you don't, right? So guys in the audience, if you don't know, if the cops show up with a search warrant for your house, they don't just flash the search warrant and say, look at that, and then wave it away and walk in. They have to provide you a copy of the search warrant.
And they have to read it to you.
They have to give you the information. So that means even if the FBI got the search warrant on thin information, even if the FBI is weaponized by the current administration against the previous one for whatever motivation, even if that's true, then Trump has a copy of the thinly awarded search warrant with crap information in it or easily debunked information in it. So playing the devil's advocate, and again, I'm just setting the playing field here from my perspective, because I have not looked into this one iota. But I think, well, why hasn't Trump released the search warrant then? If Trump has nothing to hide, if this is all political, well, why not literally when you're announcing that your home is under raid by FBI, why not post a picture of the search warrant right on your social media?
I think
this is all bullcrap. Here's what they're looking for. I don't have it. This is why this is bullcrap. This is why I'm being set up. But he hasn't done that. Why?
Well, this is the same thing that happened with Project Veritas. They didn't get Project Veritas. Remember, if we went over that, when the copy that they gave them was super vague because they have it sealed. So remember, that was our whole point of contention with the Project Veritas raid with the stolen diary, was the same issue, which you and I discussed that we didn't think could happen.
Yeah.
And then we read it and it was just as vague. And typically, just to not confuse everybody, but to get to your point, Mike, I think, well, one, they tried to serve this warrant while he wasn't there, and they did serve it while he wasn't there. So now you're just leaving behind a search warrant, which we're going to get into that too. But two, I think they did not disclose. I think it's a sealed search warrant. So, which I didn't know was a thing. I only knew it was a thing when it had to do with like child sex crimes.
Yeah. Drew Breezy brings it up. And see, guys, I'm asking this question, not because I mean, I am dumb. I just ruined someone's engagement party. I don't know what I don't know. I'm in a lot of your positions, which I don't really know the details of this. So I'm just asking the questions out loud for the podcast of here's what I'm thinking as someone just watching this happen as a citizen on TV. Yeah.
So just to answer that question for you, I believe the affidavit is sealed. And I think whatever they give Trump or in the case of Project Veritas is a very like vague statement that's, not probably worth taking a picture of. Although they do have some pictures. I do have some affidavit. I mean, it's not an affidavit, but it's a release from the judge of what they had to say from the FBI and things like that as we go forward. But I guess my first question to kick this off, Mike, is, and for those of you out there, this is not a right versus left show, right? There's a lot of cops that are on the left. There's a lot of cops that are on the right. We're not here to sway you one way or the other. We try to be as objective as we can. It's hard to be objective these days, though, because it just seems like there's an apparent war on the police, and they're one side of the spectrum. They're lighting up the White House, with the thin blue line and making it blue, and then another side is trying to bury a bunch of officers for whipping people coming across the border with reins, with horse
which never
reins.
happened.
So, which never happened. Also, when you start seeing schematics, weaponizing schematics on a search warrant for the Breonna Taylor thing, that really at the end of the day doesn't hold beans on whether that search warrant would have been served or not. Mm-hmm. So whether they got one minor piece of information, which I'll still argue is a minor piece of information, is it a mistake? Yeah, it was a mistake. But I mean, if you went through every single search warrant ever written, there's always going to be mistakes because there's so many moving parts. I mean, any doctor's notes are going to have mistakes, and of course we can make them look as big as we want to. But in the Breonna Taylor case, it's definitely weaponizing the Department of Justice, going after 4 officers who, at the end of the day, Breonna Taylor made some really bad decisions. The guy that she was with made some, Glover made some really bad decisions. All those people made really bad decisions that ultimately, ended Breonna Taylor's life. So I don't think that the police necessarily had so much to do with that. The question you have to, if you want to be objective with this case, the question that has to be asked first and foremost by the left and the right, you have to ask yourself, if Donald Trump was not running for president in 2024,
is he running for president? He hasn't made that formal announcement, right?
No, but I mean, it's looking very close that he is, right?
I don't know, man. Do you think he really is, or would it be? I feel like DeSantis is really setting himself up for a run at this.
He really is. Trump. This is happening on the heels of Trump endorsing, his name is blanking on me now because I wasn't planning on talking about it. But Trump just endorsed that guy in Texas that beat the other Republican primary candidate, which was George Bush. Again, the Bushes can't stay out of politics, and if the Bushes and Clintons could just go away forever, that would be probably a really great step in the right direction for this country. If the Bushes and the Clintons would all just fuck off, because I really do think that a lot of your corruption starts with those two families.
This is a fantastic point that you bring up both those names. And I said this earlier, like, listen, this is a both side thing. This is like the two guys you're listening to right now, myself and Tansey, are not registered with a political party. I don't think I'm not. Are you?
I don't even know how to register for things. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been a lot of times I just didn't vote. I did vote for Obama the first time, did not vote for him the second time. I voted for Obama the first time because I got all hooked into that, like, let's change shit. And I was like, yeah, man, if everybody in the White House hates somebody, or a lot of people hate somebody, I'm usually gonna like that guy, which is kind of why I took on that's why I voted for Trump. I didn't necessarily know Trump or like him. I also tend to like Trump because I've had a really great conversation with Miss Muhammad Ali. And she's known him personally for, over 30 years. And she had a lot of interesting things to say about him, which are contrary to what you hear in the news. And I was very shocked by what she had to say about him. And so, I did vote for Trump as well, but, no, I think that all politicians are pieces of shit. To be a drinking bro and to be on that bandwagon, that was one thing that drew me to Drinking Bros, is that's how we feel. I honestly hate politicians. I hate them at every level, dude. I even think that politicians at the local level are even more corrupt than, I guess maybe not more corrupt, but easier to see the corruption.
Yeah,
at the local level.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I guess walk us through what you have, and we'll chat it through, because obviously we don't, without all the information from affidavits and probable cause, we don't know what we don't know. But
exactly,
let's just talk about what we do know and draw some conclusions or assumptions based on our experience and knowledge.
I think, though, just throughout this whole thing, keep in mind, if Trump wasn't such a political power right now as he's proven to be, that he beat out the Bushes in the primaries by endorsing this other candidate in Texas. And I do think that he is gearing up to run in 2024. I think it is apparent that he's going to run. I think he has a lot, or at least he's going to make a go at it. And from all the news sources I've been listening to in the last 2 weeks, is that it really has been escalating, that the Trump train is up and going. They saw the thing in Arizona that took place. And, I guess there's some like recount talk going on. There's just a lot of things that Trump's been in the news a lot lately in the last 2 weeks, and he's had some momentum. I would argue that you have to look at, if Trump was not a part of the political picture anymore, if he was just like, I'm done being the president and I'm done, I'm just going to kind of fall back and just go away. Would this even be an issue?
Yeah,
I would say that probably not. Again, we have to remember this is unprecedented. No former president has ever had a search warrant served on their home, ever. And think about the crazy things that presidents in the past have been accused of and have been found guilty of.
Yeah,
but their houses were not raided by the FBI.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton, not once, not twice, not three, not four, not five, not six times has allegations come out, and that she has been found that they are 100% factual, and nothing has happened to her. I mean, she even ransacked the White House when Bush won and was coming into the office, causing thousands of dollars of damage, and nobody said anything to her about that. When they proved that Russian oligarchs were, funding the Hillary Clinton Foundation and leaving large donations, nothing came up. Benghazi, nothing came. Her house wasn't raided. Even her husband lying on stand and all the text messages, his phone wasn't taken away when he was getting a bee jibber in the Oval Office. So, this search warrant either has such crazy evidence and something so audacious and ridiculous that a warrant had to be served, or when this all comes to light, I think people are going to have a lot of questions to answer. So I have to err on the side of they can't be that dumb. So there must have been something that he had that was very, very, very important. And we can only speculate because we don't know what he had. Now, as of a couple of hours ago today, they're saying that he had information regarding nuclear weaponry. But Trump has come out already this morning and says that that is a hoax.
What would the point of having that be? I don't know. Like, I guess like that's weird.
But again, we live in a day and age where it's, you can hear something and the media can put that out and then people can believe that, which is why we didn't listen to the media during the Breonna Taylor raid. Hands up, don't shoot. Uvalde. I mean, the news can just say whatever they want. So if they heard that there was nuclear weapons, I mean, there's, that could be completely faceless. Who knows? So I don't even think it's really worth talking about. I think what is worth talking about is, one, how is a search warrant? How do you get a search warrant, and why is that important? So for starters, there's so many questions and that nobody really wants to talk about in this case. One, Nancy Pelosi brought it up. She says that nobody is above the law, and that this is proof that no one is above the law. So I guess we should probably start there because, Mike, as being a police officer, if we find that a gas station clerk might be selling food stamps or Lucy cigarettes, like Lucy's being cigarettes that are one cigarette at a time instead of selling it out of the pack.
Oh, they're going to solve that with a new 87,000 IRS agents. They're going to come after Lucy's for sure.
Well, now you're fucked.
There's
But
no cigarette tax being done on those.
back in the day, you might have had a situation where maybe you had 2 or 3 stabbings outside of a gas station, or, maybe a gun battle or 2 happened outside of a gas station. And what you would do as a good police officer is say, well, one, why are we getting shootings and stabbings at this gas station? Well, the answer is because the clerk that's running the gas station is actually a gang member. He's a certified gang member. And so he's allowing certain gang members to do certain things in the parking lot, which is pissing off these other gang members. And now we've got a feud. So now we need to get rid of the gas station clerk and move him out of there, and then the violence will stop. Well, how do we do that? Well, we hear he's selling Lucy's. We see maybe he's selling food stamps or whatever. Okay, well, that's a really hard case to solve unless you have a confidential informant. And then, the chances of you having a confidential informant that are close enough to this said gas station clerk that he trusts to sell Lucy's to whatever is a train wreck. Might be easier just to say, hey, where does this guy live? Okay, he lives right here. Okay, let's do a trash pull on his house on Thursday night while he's sleeping. We'll grab his trash. We'll find evidence of marijuana. We'll do a search warrant on his house on marijuana. And then if we find, 1,000 cases of Newports, that he, or food stamps or whatever, it'll be easier to bust him that way. So we use the crime of marijuana to get into the house to find the bigger crimes to make it easier for ourselves. In this case, that could also be the scenario. This could be, normally we wouldn't serve a warrant on a president for X, but if we serve this warrant for these unsealed, unclassified documents, which other presidents are known to have taken unsealed, or classified documents out of the White House. Obama, I think he took like 10,000 pages. Some people blow that out of proportion, say like 33 million or something like that. I don't really know, but I think 10,000 pages sounds more reasonable. So it's not like presidents haven't done that in the past.
Former presidents are still given, they're still under protection of the Secret Service. That's a lifetime thing. They are still given security briefings. They're still privy to certain things because they've been privy to certain things. It's not like everything, and they're not like decision makers, but they're still briefed on aspects of information that they know about or they have participated in, and they're still protected. So it's not like you're just like, you walk out of the Oval Office and then that's it. Goodbye. I go back to my normal life. That's not how it works.
Right. So in this case, if we do find out what was on the search warrant, it might be that what they did was like something as minor, right? Because we would see like, oh, that's a cheap shot going into somebody's garbage to find a little bit of marijuana shake. Obviously, no cop wants to go dig through trash to charge somebody with a misdemeanor amount of marijuana. But if we know that he's diddling children and we want to find proof of child pornography, but the only way to get into that house is by finding a little bit of shake on then we can get into the house and then we can find all this child pornography. So I don't know if maybe the FBI, had a bullshit excuse to get into Mar-a-Lago because they were trying to find something larger. Like maybe something that had to do with January 6th, because, we're not going to let that go. We couldn't let go of Russian collusion for 5 years. And then that became,
hey, we got to pause. I hate to
Okay.
interrupt you, but Bleed Blue 1967 is in the chat saying, "Hey guys, Ryan, do not let your fiance listen to this show."
Wait, what's going on? What did I miss?
What do you mean? Why am I mentioning it at all? Because he's here.
He's in the chat?
Did you say?
Yeah, he's in here. Bleed Blue 1967.
There is 19 Bleed Blue 67. Hey guys, Bleed Blue 1967. Not a good time.
Shut it off.
Yeah, shut this show off. Because Mike is smarter than the average bear.
No, I'm not.
Bleed Blue, this is not the show for you, buddy. Definitely don't rewind it 19 minutes ago. Definitely weren't talking about you and your girlfriend. So anyway.
Yeah, I just double messed up.
I have to go on this. I have to go on this search warrant on its face and say, like, because it's unprecedented and the backlash. Imagine this, if you will, if the left really did conspire, if they really are chess players, which I don't know that the FBI is a chess player. The problem with this is that I know a lot of FBI people, not a lot, but I know some guys that are in the FBI. They're friends of mine. And they're very right wing. Matter of fact, the funny thing is one of them has a sticker on his car. We can talk about this here in a few minutes, of the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. But the FBI just released last week
terrorism
is a symbol of terrorism, according to this new FBI thing that was also a whistleblower that leaked that document as well. And we'll show that here later on the show. So, it's not like the FBI is like, like everybody in the FBI is ready to conspire against another sitting president. Yeah, I would like to think that these agents and these people in charge of these search warrants have to read the search warrant and go, oh yeah, I'm going to be a part of this, because the political backlash of this. You can't be so dumb and so naive to say that you're not going to read this search warrant and be like, oh, this isn't going to have political implications and my name's not going to go in the history books. Every one of these FBI agents, if this is a thing where President Trump goes to jail or something crazy, every FBI agent that was involved in that search warrant will be in every encyclopedia from now to the end of days.
Yeah.
So
man,
you can't be. I mean, I'd like to think that these guys were like, holy shit, we really should serve this search warrant because these allegations are huge.
But
and if it's true,
for the most part, the FBI agents are going to be a lot like your beat cops for the most part, right? Like most FBI guys are going to go in and be like, I just want to be cool to have a federal gig and do this kind of investigations and all that stuff. And they want to do the right things. But at the top is political leadership, right? Just on a massive scale, right? Like it's on a different level than just like local politics or whatever. It's on another level, dude. And the FBI seems to definitely at the top being really oddly selective about who they go after and who they don't. And I'm not stupid. I mean, I know that I don't know what I don't know. So I can't speak to like, oh, here's exactly why they did this or here's exactly why they didn't do this. But it's it's awful strange. So
Mario Rizzler says that police can't circumvent certain statutes and warrants just because they don't have the grounds for the original case. No, I mean, well, maybe on the surface they can't, but there's way more investigations that take place that cops do it all the time. I mean, the cops do that all the time. Like if they think that they've got something and they need to get in that house because of something more nefarious, they're going to find a way to get a search warrant into that house, whether it be through, the selling of drugs or whatever. So, I mean, I get it. And then this could be a fishing expedition. And here's the thing though, Mario Rizzler, do you think that you are smarter than all the FBIs and all the magistrates and all the judges that sat and read this? Maybe you are. Like, I'm not shitting on you as a human, but like maybe you're smarter. But like, I have to think that there has to be something more. And I'm not taking their side, but like they have to be smart enough to think exactly how you're thinking, Marta. They have to be like, well, if we do this and we do find something, they're just going to accuse us of phishing. And then he's going to have a whole case and a whole leg to stand on. Like you're talking about multi-level chess. You're talking about really big like conversations with a lot of people. And now you have to guarantee that all those people that you're having that conversation with aren't going to go and leak this or aren't going to go and rat you out for doing it, because people have different moral and ethical responsibilities. It's hard to get like 5 cops together and debate something like this because one of those cops is like, dude, the fact that we're even talking about this isn't right. And I'm going to go whistle blow. So, to me, it would seem that they are a little bit smarter or as smart as you are, Mario, and that they said whatever's in this warrant is a big deal. Because like you said, I don't think that they could go after something smaller to find something big unless what they have is really, really big. And it's just going to nobody's going to give a shit how they got in the house. As in, i.e. child porn. Like if you use shake to get in a house, nobody gives a fuck if you got into that house and you found copious amounts of child pornography in plain sight. You know what I mean? Now, if you're in that house for marijuana and now you're going through a laptop, obviously that can't happen because you can't hide marijuana inside of a laptop. But so my first theory on this is that there must have been something in that search warrant that's pretty important. If not, it's already energized the right so much. I mean, people are really excited about this thing. It really made Trump super relevant in the last 3 days.
Well, apparently he had like a record fundraising day for his potential campaign stuff the day after the raid. So it's kind of backfiring. Do you think this is a sign? You mentioned earlier, like Nancy Pelosi saying this. I've heard both sides of this, right? This shows that no one is above the law. This is a good sign that the FBI is willing to go after someone that's high profile. And other people saying, like, obviously this is a bad sign because this is banana republic shit where you're literally taking law enforcement agencies and weaponizing them against political opponents. Like that we're no better than a third world country and these infighting civil war things where it's like it's all corruption back and forth. Like I feel like at this point our democracy is literally just teetering on the brink of extinction. Or is it already gone? Are we watching this unfold and we look at this and is this just all? This isn't I'm not going conspiracy here. I'm just literally thinking, is all of like the three branches of government and the ideas and the principles of checks and balances and the things that keep us comfortable and confident at night, is it all an illusion? Was it ever real? Because people don't change. Here's one thing that I know in my 46 years of life. People are fucking people. I don't care if you've got two cavemen scratching their armpits and making click noises to communicate with each other. They've been devising ways to be evil to one another and harm one another. And some people do good things and they care for their tribe and they do the right thing. This has been sort of like people are people. Did we ever really have a system in place that worked? Or has it all been just one giant Band-Aid on humanity for a couple hundred years? and now the wound is open again, and we're going to have to figure out a way to figure this out. I don't know, man. Like this is a case that opens that question up for me.
Well, so this is where I'm having a hard time with this case too, Mike, because I'm 100% fairness in the law. Like I want my football players, my basketball players, my politicians, my sheriffs, my chiefs, I want them to get the same punishment as the peasant that's strung out on methamphetamines. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if a guy on meth gets a DUI, the motherfucker holds a DUI and goes to jail for 60 days or whatever it is. But if you've got Nancy Pelosi's husband, and his picture gets released to the public, the dash cam footage, whatever gets released to the public. But if it's a politician, all of a sudden these documents get sealed and things like that. But like, where does a peasant have, or even the middle class, where do we get that right to have our shit not, why is it so important that if I got a DUI, right, and I was officer of the year who left the police department to open up a distillery and it made news and there was half the people that thought like a cop should not own a distillery and the other half should. But if I ever get a DUI, you best believe it's going to be front and center on the news. My picture's going to get released. And probably somebody's going to give a statement like, see, we told you that's why we didn't want him to be a cop, because when you work that close to alcohol thing. So I've been very, very, very careful to never get a DUI. But if I did get one, where do I get the right to go and say, hey, I don't want my picture out there. I don't want the dash cam footage released on this because it's going to hurt me and my business. It's going to crush my business. It's going to crush my family. Why is my business and my family less important than whatever the fuck Nancy Pelosi's husband does for a living?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like fairness in the law. In the United States Navy, and the guy's got a really, Christian Saucier. If you guys don't remember this story, but he took some pretty innocent photos of a nuclear reactor and a nuclear sub. He didn't share them with anybody, but and he was young, he was 22, and one of the older, ranking, not higher ranking, but like maybe somebody that was just one rank above him or not, saw him taking a picture, and he ran it up the chain of command. And of course they started taking it and they kept going and they kept going. Well, after they do this investigation, they really have nothing. Like the kid literally only shared it with his dad. And like the caption was, "I can't believe I get to work with a nuclear reactor. Like this is a dream come true." Like that kind of bullshit. Well, they end up trying to give this guy 5 years. Ends up he only does a year in prison for it.
That's
But all he
nuts
did
that
was
did a
take
year in prison for it.
Yeah.
I've seen people try to stab their spouse that served less than 90 days in jail. Literally tried to kill somebody.
He got a dishonorable discharge for it, ruins this kid's life. But then you've got, this was like in 2016, Hunter Biden joining the Navy and strung out on cocaine and on alcohol his first day. And he gets an other than honorable discharge, or I don't even think he got other than honorable. It was just some kind of other weird lingo that they have. The thing is, though, is that this kid takes a picture of a nuclear attack submarine and gets a year, even though he did nothing wrong. He wasn't a spy. He's just a dumb fucking 22-year-old kid who's working on a very badass piece of equipment. Put yourself in his shoes. It's a guy like me who's a C student who does not give a shit about anything. And I'm like, dude, that was a cool reactor. Hey, Dad, I can't believe I get to work out with it. You know what I mean? I can't keep my mouth shut about anything. So does this kid get to get a year? Then we go to, what was the Air Force girl's name? Reality Winner. What a terrible name. Her real God-given government name is Reality Winner.
That's
again,
weird.
Just like we talked about on last call with Heavenly Cox. Definitely that's a parent who had you out of wedlock, or else they wouldn't name you something like that. Here's another one, Reality Winner. This was, oops, I had a daughter, it's 16, but I want to do right by this world. I want to give her a fighting chance. I'm going to name her Reality, last name Winner. How'd that work out for her? Because she's a U.S. Air Force member working as an intelligence specialist who came across Russian interference. It just wasn't Russian interference on the side of the left. And they gave her 5 years in prison for releasing that information. She found Russian interference in the 2016 elections, and she tried to bring that up. And on June 3rd, 2017, is when she leaked the Russian interference in the election. The NSA swept her up and sentenced her to 5 years. So again, here's an Air Force girl who's releasing information or who's mishandling classified information. She gets 5 years. You got a guy who took innocent pictures of a nuclear reactor, whatever, gets a year. But when we have somebody who nukes all of her laptop information, and again, she makes a big joke of this. Hillary Clinton, she's trying to come up with her own swag line about it. She obviously doesn't take it seriously, but she's not held to that same standard. Hunter Biden's not held to the same standard. We did a whole Hunter Biden episode, 2 hours of all the crimes Hunter Biden's committed. Never once was his house. I mean, man, his allegations are really big allegations.
Yeah.
Prostitutes, which isn't that big, but when they're underage, it's pretty big. And, and then of course, what Ashley Biden had to say about Joe Biden. I would like to see everybody held to the same standard. I would like to see that nobody is above the law. However, we know that's not the case. We know that's not true. And now we have somebody serving a warrant on an ex-president under the ruse of no one is above the law. If this does go down and Trump gets arrested, I do think it would be good for the country, because now you can't go back on that. Right. You can't go back on that. No one's above the law. And now we're going to see more from the left and from the right trying to hold each other accountable. Because if you can do it once, you can do it again. And that's got to put some kind of fear in everybody else. So now you're going to have to be a little bit more cautious when you're making those Burisma style deals, or when you're taking money from China or Uranium One, or,
well, I mean, even simple things like you sent your son money in the middle of the night to pay for a prostitute. Like what are we doing with that? Is anybody showing up at Joe Biden's door for that?
Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the case. I don't. I don't think that Trump's going to jail. I don't think it'll happen. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
But-
probably about it.
But that's my moral dilemma here. At one side of me says, well, shit, if he did something crazy and he did something bad, like Hillary Clinton did, then I want him to go to jail. I want him to. I don't want a sitting president that knowingly, willingly breaks the law, especially if it's for some kind of personal gain. Now, again, there's a whole intent issue there. The problem is that I don't think that's the case. What do you think? Do you think that this is some kind of self-righteous movement where we're going to start holding politicians accountable?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great. It'd be great if there was a consistency. I just don't believe that I don't believe that there is. I don't see that being what's going on. I don't trust the FBI with Trump because I don't trust the FBI with other high-level politicians. It's like, what is really going on here? Knowing what has come out over the last year of high-level crimes and blatant lies, like established lies publicly about things that have happened in our current administration, and seeing where law enforcement has or hasn't done anything there, and where they haven't done anything with other administrations in the past. Why now? So yeah, it kind of is like either they're turning over a new leaf and now they're going to really go after high level politicians, or this is just a political game.
Like how cool would it be if the FBI, like how cool would this be if the FBI knew that there was an Epstein list and they knew that they wanted to start holding people accountable for things, but they feel like, okay, if we go after Trump, then that shows that we're not biased. Like we're not working for Trump. So we go to Trump, we indict Trump, we send Trump through all the rigmarole. He gets found guilty. He can't be the president anymore. But now we can say, hey, we went after Trump and now we're going to be fair. And we're going to go after who's on the Epstein list, which may or may not, have anything to do with Bill Clinton or whoever else is involved in that. How cool would that be?
Yeah,
if this was like true law enforcement where we really do give a fuck.
Why is this news front and center, but the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff is all but gone? It's gone. Like it's not even in the news. Like there's no more information. There's no like Garland isn't coming on and saying, guys, I know. Like he came on and says, we're going to try to release the information about this warrant as soon as possible. I signed this personally. I okayed this. This went to the highest levels. Like Merrick Garland saying, this is what we're going to do. Like it went to the top on this one, and they admit that, but it's like, why don't we hear the same thing saying we take human trafficking seriously, and I know that you don't see what we're doing behind the scenes, but we are actively pursuing a list of names or whatever. There's no updates. There's no media talking points about that. And it's that inconsistency that from an observer standpoint, which would be me, I'm going like on its face, the inconsistency here gives me a complete distrust in these entities. Like, there is no ability. I don't have the ability to know the information. All we can know is what we are given on the media. That's it.
Which is terrible because it's all overly sensationalized media posts that are there to really piss you off and make you mad. Nobody's really reporting on, really what it could be or what it is. I will say in the mainstream media's defense, they have been very careful about reporting on this case from what I've seen. Like both sides seem to be like really tiptoeing around this. And I like the hypocrisy that we're seeing here about, where you see CNN saying like, to have a search warrant like this, they have to really dot their I's and cross their T's. You can't just go and do a search. It's not that easy. Because if we look at the Breonna Taylor case, or we look at some of these other cases, they're like, oh, these guys are just willy-nilly writing search warrants and hitting the wrong house and the wrong door. But now when it comes to a search warrant that they approve of, they're like, no, this was a well thought out, well planned. You can't just go serve a warrant on somebody. The hypocrisy, I think people are starting to kind of see that. Dead Leg Media brought up a good point. I posted it up earlier about the judge being tied to Epstein. And I'd like to say that was fake news, but it wasn't fake news. I tried to debunk that because I thought, okay, that's just one of those clickbaity type deals. No, the judge who approved FBI's Mar-a-Lago search did represent clients that were directly linked to Jeffrey Epstein during the Epstein case. This is out of Politico. The federal magistrate judge who signed off on the warrant that allowed federal agents to search former President Donald Trump's Florida residence once drew scrutiny for switching from his job as a federal prosecutor to working as a defense attorney on behalf of individuals connected to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And that's very odd that you would flip-flop like that. You're like, I'm going to leave my appointed position to go make a whole bunch of money and defend these guys. And then when I'm done defending them, I'll go back to being a prosecutor again. That seems like a very big conflict of interest to me.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's who you happen to find to get signed off on this. Now, I don't know how that works. I think it's a valuable question. Maybe someone in the comments can quick research.
Well, magistrate shopping is definitely a thing. I would magistrate shop.
I'm trying to understand. Does so for example, where I worked as a cop, we had judges and we had magistrates. The magistrates handled like traffic stuff or whatever else, but we'd have a judges available too. And however many there were, you would have the on-call ones for like weekends, after hours, weekend search warrants. Cause you get a drunk at 3 a.m. on a Saturday night. Well, how are you going to get a search warrant for the blood? Somebody's got to get woke up for that, whatever it happens. When it comes to the federal side of things, I do not know the answer to this question. If that search warrant is to be executed and it's a federal warrant, but it's in Florida, does it have to be a federal magistrate or judge in the state of Florida that does that, or a circuit or jurisdiction that encompasses that? Like, do they only have a limited pool, or where is this judge or magistrate? Where is this magistrate from? Right? Like, I don't know. Like,
right.
Or could that magistrate be in New York City? Could it be in Kansas and sign off on the warrant that's going to be executed at Mar-a-Lago in Florida? I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe somebody does that's smarter than us.
I would guess that the magistrate would be in DC. I would just guess.
Well, you got federal magistrates and judges all over the country in different,
that's true,
through the circuit system.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if that has to be done in that circuit, in that jurisdiction, or could it be anywhere so that you can
and if you
find
can,
one?
At the end of the day, though, like, I don't feel like you go and get that magistrate to sign off on your shit. Like, come on, man. Like, why would you take the one dude that's linked to Epstein? It's the one thing that every American, right and left, across the country wants to know what's on that damn list, which is crazy to me, because you think we could all come together and then just go and demand that. Like, right? Like, BLM and Antifa can go and literally go to a city in Washington, or go to a state of Washington, and overtake an entire city and form their own city, their own little republic inside of a city, because of the numbers and the overwhelming presence. But we as a people can't go together and get a fucking list that we all deserve to see. I mean, people broke the law. We know that for a fact. We know that there were people, high-ranking individuals, celebrities, we know this, that were involved in sex trafficking and underage prostitution, but none of us give a shit enough to get together and make this thing happen. That blows my mind. But this is the guy that they chose, the one dude that represented, and he's known for leaving his appointed position to go and become a defender of these guys. That to me is a
part of me
is very
playing the hopeful side of me is like, okay, you would think, right? Like, if the FBI is going to do this and go down this path, they know it's a big deal, right? That is true. Like you said, like you hear one media outlet saying, if you're going to go this direction, you better have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Like, this is going to get a lot of attention, and so you better do it right. So I would be, if I'm in charge of this operation, if the responsibility is falling to me and I work for the FBI and I'm like the lead, if I'm a point person putting this together, I'm going to be like, I want a magistrate or a judge who is definitely as conservative as possible, right? Like, I want every roadblock that's going to be considered preferential or whatever else. I want to eliminate that as I go. I want to have such a rock solid case for this that under intense scrutiny, no matter what side, as it were, looks at this, it's going to pass the sniff test. And I'm gonna do that. So the hopeful side of me is like, this is in front of everyone's face. Everyone is going to know that Trump's house, they know this, right? Trump's going to take to social media, whatever. They know everyone's going to know about this. Are they that blatant? But then on the other side of me, the skeptical side of me turns on the television when I do, or scrolls social media and looks at a president. Chuck Schumer was talking the other day at the podium. He literally shook Chuck Schumer. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer's hand. Chuck Schumer walks away. He raises his hand again to try to shake his hand again. Like this president, what's going on in front of our eyes is literally happening. That the laptop, the blatant information, it's Pelosi, the contradictions, the lies. It's all like, no one has to hunt for the hypocrisy. It's all happening right in front of our faces. And I look at that and go, well, why isn't the FBI, why is this FBI raid any different? They're just doing whatever they want to do. And right in front of our faces, they can say whatever they want, because what are we going to do?
Right.
You know, so I see both sides of this. There's a hopeful side to me that they did what was necessary to get this warrant. But because there's a lack of transparency here, no one knows what this was. And then by the time that they actually release this stuff, the news cycle has shifted and they're in complete control of the information that we're being fed at any given moment.
Yeah, but in this scenario, they have to have something. This can't be another just like distractor. This cannot be a distractor. This can't be shit's not going the way we want, so we're going to reopen the Breonna Taylor case to distract people. No, this has like real implications, because you go back to 2016, when every day you turn on the news, you heard bombshell. This is it. The walls are closing in on Trump. He's out. He's fired. They've got damning evidence on the tarmac, blah, blah, blah. Then the next week, oh, this is it. They've got we heard that for 4 years. He never got impeached. Did the whole thing, did the whole presidential thing, got out unscathed. But we heard every day that this was it. This was it. And then people were kind of like, you're kind of full of shit, because it was never it. And now you have the January 6th thing, and they kept going and they kept going and they kept going. And that didn't really pan out the way it was. They cannot afford to do that a third time. You can't. The country will go nuts. They will have lost all faith. This has got to be the last card in the deck. Has to be the last card in the deck.
Jeremy Miller says,
and if it's going to be your last card, it better be an ace.
Jeremy Miller says that he's a minute or two behind, but he believes that the judge that signed the warrant was appointed by Trump. I don't know if that's true or
that's not true. Nope, that's not true at all. They've already debunked. They've already debunked that. If I'm wrong, I mean, you can go if you're on your phone right now listening, just go and Google it. But Trump they've already come out and said from the articles that I read earlier this morning that is not true, that he did not appoint that guy.
Do you have any other factoids or information?
Yep. Yeah. So this is the motion to unseal the limited warrant materials, which, by the way, I guess they're going to do this by 3:00 p.m. today. So this is your big news for today that really fucking matters. Yeah. On August 8th, 2022, the Department of Justice executed
this today, or they're unsealing it today?
No. They're going to, let's see. Let me go back to that article, because I went to the other article. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhardt asked the Justice Department to submit a filing by mid-afternoon today. On or before 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time on August 12, 2022, the United States shall file a certificate of conferral advising whether former President Trump opposes the government's motion to unseal. This morning, he came out and said that he was not going to file a motion to keep it sealed. So Trump has already, first thing this morning, came out and said, I am not filing that motion, so they can unseal that document. So that was supposed to be done by 3:00.
Trump's not impeding them releasing the information.
No, but I was going through all the documents that you can get on this, and this is one that I wanted to talk about before we go, because I think this is very funny and very oddly worded. On August 8th, this is the United States motion to unseal the warrant materials. So this is their motion to unseal everything for today. This is what it says. On August 8th, 2022, the Department of Justice executed a search warrant issued by this court upon requesting finding of probable cause, which we all know what probable cause. If you don't, go back to our copious amounts of episodes where we talk about search warrants. The premises is at 1100 South Ocean Boulevard, Palm Beach, Florida, 33480. the property of Donald J. Trump. At the time the warrant was initially executed, this is where it's important. At the time the warrant was initially executed, the department provided notice directly to former President Trump's counsel. The department did not make any public statements about the search, and the search apparently attracted little or no public attention as it was taking place. Later that same day, former President Trump issued a public statement acknowledging the execution of the warrant. In the days since, the search warrant and related materials have been the subject of significant interest and attention from news, media organizations, and other entities. Now, the reason why I read that is because, as you know, when you're writing any of these motions or anything like that, you want to put the most important thing in the first paragraph. You want to hook in the judge. You want to hook this guy in. Why is that what you choose to write in your first opening paragraph? The whole thing about we did this, it says the department did not make any public statements about the search, and the search apparently attracted little or no public attention. That's you covering your own ass saying, hey, judge, I know that this was supposed to be a secret. This is what it says to me. This was supposed to be a secret, and now everybody fucking knows about it, and now we have to unseal this thing. How did they think, or what incompetent fool thought that they could serve a search warrant on an ex-president and think that there was not going to be public attention? Right. And so in your first paragraph, you had to address that, hey, by the way, FYI, we didn't make any public statements. And the reason he's saying this is because when they did the search warrant, President Trump was out of town, or was supposed to be out of town. So he wasn't there when they served the warrant. So there wasn't supposed to be any media attention.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. What incompetent fool thought that you could do this and there not be any media attention? Like, really? That blows my mind. So it kind of does show you how, like, these guys aren't chess players. Like, there's no way that you could come up with these grandiose conspiracies, because these people aren't smart enough to do it. I was one of those people. I was a police officer. I'm not that smart to like conspire against somebody and play these cards well in advance. At the time the warrant was initially executed, the department provided notice directly to former President Trump's counsel. So that means, you know, I'm sure Donald Trump knew that they were serving a search warrant on his house. That's also pretty interesting. So kind of what I get from that reading is they called Trump. They said, hey, we're coming in here to get some documents. Trump was like, cool. Those guys went to get the documents thinking that they could do it. They could get away with it and just get out, get the documents, and this go completely unnoticed. Right. This is another theory. And Donald Trump's like, wait, dude, those bitches are going to show up and we're going to blow this thing way out of proportion. We're going to call it a raid. We're going to do all these things. They did call it a raid. They did call it a search warrant. And everybody was bamboozled. And now they've got this big media attention. And now they have to go ahead and disclose that, which would be that would be like a very strategic thing to do on Trump's behalf, not the right thing to do, which also makes me think that, you know, this could be a thing of Trump playing games. Like, this could have been just like, it might not be as big a deal as we think it is. After I read this, I really think that maybe maybe they said, hey, dude, we're going to come get those documents. You only gave us 12 boxes. We know there's 30 boxes. So we're going to come get them. And he's like, all right. And he's like, we're coming over there to get them because you're not turning them in. So we'll be there at 3:00 on this time to come get them. By the way, we do know from a leak that this came out yesterday that the FBI served this warrant based on a close confidant. Is that the right word? Confidant of Donald Trump, who said what documents he had and where they were at exactly in the house of Mar-a-lago. So if you've got that information, that's pretty good for a search warrant. So this could be just one of those things where it was a formality. Hey, we're going to come get it. And then Trump made it into a media spectacle. And if that's true, then he wins, because it is definitely a media spectacle. And now it has to be something, right? Like it has to be something, or you're going to look like the biggest fools, which would mean that Trump has to be the chess player. So you can look at this from both sides. Either Trump's playing games or the FBI is playing games. I probably like to think it's more Trump playing games based on this note, because if that's the first paragraph you're writing, that's definitely you trying to cover your ass real quick. Does that make sense? Or am I wrong?
No,
that's a very odd thing to put in your first paragraph.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a weird thing. Why would it's almost not even relevant, right? Like it seems to me that you would just write something but then again, everything becomes public, which I think is fair. I think that documents like this of people being subject to warrant searches, and especially on behalf of armed government agents, I think the public nature of this is very, very important. I think it's critical. But I think that sometimes knowing that, they write to the people who are going to read it instead of writing to the judge who they're sending this to. Like, that paragraph means nothing to the judge, right? Like, they could just say, we're on behalf of such and such, this was done on this such and such a date. We plan, we are unsealing this, or requesting that this is unsealed.
Yeah, due to public outcry, yada yada. But instead, it's more of an apology. This is more of an apology.
There's just no reason to go on to blather on about the media and attention. It's pointless.
The one sentence that says the department did not make any public statements about the search, and the search apparently attracted little or no public attention as it was taking place. So they were like, "Hey, judge, listen, we didn't tell the public we were doing this, and when we did it, there wasn't any public attention. But now there is, and we need to unseal this." So, like, to me, that looks like a really big apology, which, again, I can't help but when I read that say, dude, you have to be a dumb fuck if you thought that you were going to
apologize.
Yeah, come on.
It's too late. Hey, do you think that a couple of FBI guys were like, FBI, open up, boom, knocks the door down, hits Trump's room, and it's like, holy shit, that's a ghost bed. Is that a ghost bed, boys? I think it's a ghost bed. Trump sleeps on a ghost bed.
Trump's like, I don't care if you put me on house arrest, just don't take away my ghost bed. Right now, ghost bed is
if
offering.
I'm going in a cell, I'm going to need a ghost bed.
They're the very best ghost beds, best on the planet.
Not too firm, just perfect. It's a beautiful, some say it's the best bed, a beautiful bed. Use the code Wolfpack. I use the code Wolfpack, 30% off for ghost bed. Anyway.
No, keep going. I wouldn't. That whole ad read should be done like that. Like, made in the USA. Keep going. Like, just finish it off.
I was struggling to sleep through the night. Had a lot of problems, but I got a ghost bed. It fixed them, and some people say this is the best bed ever. I can confirm. 30% off. Wolfpack.
35.
Use the
35.
code. 35 now. It's a different percentage every week. I don't understand how this works, but it takes money off.
Because we're selling fucking ghost beds, dude. We're selling them out the wazoo. We sold like 2 last week.
Giddy up, boys.
You and I.
I'm a mattress salesman when it comes down to it. That's what this is all about. I am a mattress salesman. When people ask my kids what I do for a living, that should be their answer. Oh, he sells mattresses. Oh, really? What store? Oh, no, it's not a podcast. He just mentions ghost bed on the podcast. Sells.
How come he's, almost 80 years old and he's still able to golf really, really well and do all these things? We need to search his house and find out why.
What is he taking? What material does he have that he's able to put on a jacket, his sport coat, without any difficulty whatsoever? How does this man do it?
Oh, he sleeps on a ghost bed.
He sleeps on a ghost bed. It kept him young all these years.
So this search warrant, but I like, what was the point that you brought up, like right at the beginning of that ad read where you talked about, what were you saying? I wanted to go back to that. What'd you say at the beginning of that ad read? Do you remember?
That the FBI knocked on his door and saw a ghost bed?
No, right just before that.
I don't know.
A couple of FBI agents, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple FBI agents looking for a good place to sleep that they knocked on the door. I don't know. I have no idea what I said.
Oh, I had a really good point to that. It was another.
I just want to let people know that Ryan was in the chats and no harm, no foul. Okay.
Did she say yes?
I don't know. Stop. Don't make it worse now. But he said that she's not listening. We're cool. We no harm, no foul. I didn't ruin the day. I came close. I flew very close to the sun, but I didn't get burned.
Well, I'm just going through. There's just some new articles that just popped up, and I don't have time to go through them all. This is it's very strange times. I guess to close this out or to think about it. One, I would love to see them find something crazy and audacious. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be anything crazier than Benghazi or anything crazier than all the other, the forgotten laptop that had spyware that was on the Republicans for the thing, all the things that we've ever talked about in here. I don't think it's going to be as salacious as the Hunter Biden laptop or the cell phone the cell phones that were left behind or all those things. But I kind of hope it is. And I hope it does spark this whole fear that the right and the left are going to now weaponize the Department of Justice on each other. I'm actually, on its surface, I'm kind of think that could be a probably good idea. And I haven't critically thought through it, but on the surface, I think that's a pretty good thing. I want my politicians to be afraid that the left is going to go after them criminally for the criminal shit that they do.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't
That's an interesting thing.
That's how it's going to be.
James brings up a great point, and it's a question that I was going to bring up too. He says, BS, I'm going to raid a place with Secret Service protection and not give them a heads up. I agree, right? So in that paragraph that you read about this document getting submitted to the court, it is interesting that they gave Trump's lawyer a heads up. If they did, right? Like if they called the lawyer and said, that would make it be like, listen, everything, like we need these documents. You say that you don't have them. All of our evidence points to that you do. We have the search warrant. Listen, like we don't want to be knocking down doors. We're going to show up. Let's get this done. That kind of a thing. If they didn't want it to be a quote unquote raid. Now, Trump's
which is
that's
the thing too. It's like, let's stop calling it a raid. Like, people get mad when you say insurrection. They're like, no, it was a protest. No, it was an insurrection. Well, like, I don't think that the White House protest was any more violent than any BLM or Antifa protest where Antifa took over federal buildings as well.
Calling it an insurrection is like the most improper label ever known.
It is, but I also think calling this search warrant and Trump calling this search warrant a raid is also a misuse.
The execution
of the word, because it's not,
a raid is different than just the normal execution of a warrant, right?
Nobody's like busting in your door, shattering windows, flashbanging you. If the FBI is coming to my house, they're not going to call my lawyers first and do all those shenanigans. Right. They're going to fucking kick my door in and probably triple bang me, probably. Yeah. Who doesn't want to get triple banged on a Friday?
Was it a raid? H. Wood says it was a raid. Maybe it was. Did they swing? Did they fast rope down from helicopters and smash windows and throw some flashbangs? I don't know.
Showing up at somebody's house while he's not there, while he's supposed to be out of town. And again, they've already informed his counsel, and it was supposed to be a low key thing. It would lead me to believe that more probably than not, Trump made this something more than it needed to be. For political purposes, not saying that it wasn't smart, because now all eyes are on it, and it really puts the left in a really precarious position because now they have to produce. Because if they don't, they will be the laughing stock of. I mean, it's already close to being game over for them anyway. People see through all their bullshit, but like now it'll be really bad. So this could have been just like I said, a formality. It sounds more like a formality than it was. This sounds like the FBI agent saying, like, look, dude, we notified his counsel. We showed up. We didn't let the press know. We were trying to do this thing as respectfully and by the book as we possibly could. We got the judge to sign off on it, yada, yada, yada. And Trump shows up and calls us a raid and has caused this huge uproar, which is funny. But that makes more sense to me than anything else. I don't think you should call it a raid. I do think you should just call it a search warrant.
Dead leg media. I don't think we're splitting hairs about raid versus just the normal execution of a search warrant. The tone is very, very different. And the reasons you would have more aggressive physical action on something is due to the level of perceived threat and or response to showing up, right? So like a raid implies a heavier action on the ground versus just the normal execution of the search warrant. At the end of the day, they may be looking for the very same thing, but the process of how they go about it is kind of like the no-knock warrant versus the regular knock warrant, right? A raid is almost going to be more like your no-knock situation, right? Because of the perceived response. Like you would raid Trump's house because you think as soon as you show up, documents are going to be lit on fire and people are going to be going to a safe room and hiding things, whatever. Like there's a difference of what you think is going to happen and transpire with the evidence that you're looking for of the crime that you're investigating. So I don't know that it's splitting hairs. I think that there's distinctions to be made.
Well, that's what I'm a big advocate, and I've been preaching this. And if you watch the new YouTube shorts that I've been doing, What's the matter? Was I
Blew
loud?
my eardrums out on that one.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. You meant to do it, I know.
But I've said for a while though, like this sensationalizing from the media is very dangerous, man. We got to stop doing it. Like, stop calling things an insurrection if it's not an insurrection. If it's more of a there's a lot of other words you could use for that paint a different picture that make you take it more seriously. Calling this a raid, Trump calling this a raid is doing the same thing. Like, we're taking a lot of things and we're sensationalizing them and making them much bigger. And when you do that, it retards juries, it retards all sorts of people. Like, when you start doing sensationalizing things like hands up, don't shoot, or, they never charged George Floyd from suffocating by choking that guy out with his knee. No, I mean, he did it because of positional asphyxiation, but we all went hard on these things that are sensational to make it like to blow it more out of proportion. Everybody does it. The right and the left does it. And I think we should probably stop doing that because it creates witch hunts. It creates undue drama, I think.
Yeah.
So I do think splitting hairs is important. Like, if it's not a raid, don't fucking call it a raid. Just say, like, they served a search warrant on my house. Like, okay, that's still crazy, but calling it a raid just makes the left go, come on, dude, it's not a raid. Come on. Like,
everybody's doing it. These blow what's really going out of proportion, what's really going on out of proportion. And it sensationalizes it. It may not change what's actually going on, but it does change the perceptions, which is crazy. So
yeah, because like, what are some of the other words that we're kind of blowing out of proportion right now? Like because remember, like we use the word recession, but now we're changing the word from recession. Like, it's not recession.
Well, this is a cultural problem as a whole, right?
Exactly.
What is a man? What is a woman? Everything is changing words. And you do that because language creates culture, right? Words have to have meaning. We have to have mutual intelligibility as a society. We have to mean the same things when we say the same words. And when you can shift the meaning of words, like that started in our modern culture. What's happening now is a result of 20 years ago, right? And so you look back at Clinton talking about what is, right? I mean, like redefining the actual verb to be, like changing the meaning of words in order to fit a perception that we want to convey. This is a tactic of the propagandist, and it's happening on both sides. And it's just it's so mind numbing because, even us, right? We're here talking about this, and all we have is speculation, right? We look at this submission coming to the court. We look at what statements are existing, what judge is involved, what magistrate is involved in this. What do we see at the surface? What can we infer? And that's all we have. That's all we have is inference right now. And man, ever think that Trump might be guilty of mishandling classified documents? Yeah.
I mean, I think we said that. Like I said, like, I kind of want him to be guilty because I would like to set a new precedent that nobody really is above the law.
If you think that Trump has completely clean hands in order to get to the highest office in this country, you probably need to think again. I really think you are a naive human being if you believe that Trump has clean hands to get to that point in politics. I know that he's an outsider, and I think that there's a lot of reasons why insiders would be threatened by him on both sides.
Yeah.
But this is about the devil you know versus the devil you don't know thing, kind of a thing. I don't think that you're getting, like, if you ever watch the movie Dave, which is a fantastic movie. I love that movie, where it's a lookalike of the president, and the real president, they're hiding the fact that he is dead or dying or whatever. And this classic do-gooder at a local campaign level gets thrust into the position of president. And that's what we all really wish would happen. That's not reality. And so, no, we absolutely think Trump could have mishandled documents. Absolutely. But we don't know. I don't know. Do you?
No, I don't know. I think going back, just to kind of wrap this up for everybody, I think the key takeaway point here is if you want to be objective, then you've got to go ahead and start thinking that the FBI is not a chess. They're not a chess team. They're not as smart as you think they are. So I don't know that I don't think that there's a overlying conspiracy here. I think that they might have good intel. And they try to serve it a certain way. It didn't work out. It got over sensationalized. Now it's a media storm, and now it is a political game between the left and the right. That I would argue that Trump's probably, if my theory is correct, then Trump wins, because this was supposed to be something that was nothing, just to get some documents back, which would make Trump a lot smarter than the FBI and make him the overwinning chess player, I guess, ever winning.
Yes. The thing is this, like, this situation brings this up for me in a bigger picture, because we don't know all of the details. All we can do is think, how does this situation about the Trump raid, what kind of questions and perspectives does this bring up for us as a whole, politically and as a culture? And I think that people go to these extremes, and what we're calling for as we talk through this, like so many things, is like, let's ask ourselves good questions. Let's pause, take this apart and ask. Let's play the devil's advocate. Let's think outside of our own box. Let's get some different thinking about what's really possibly going on here, because that's going to make us actually get downfield. But everybody goes to these extremes. The one extreme, the complete sold out. I mean, you're all in on the MAGA train, bro. You want to be the conductor of this thing. And you think that the world is really being run by a small group, this satanic cabal, and you think that they are controlling everything. It's actually too simple of an answer. Life is just not that simple. It's not that, like, there's too many moving parts across the American experiment to think that there's a handful of people that are in complete and total control, that are drinking baby's blood and controlling the world. I think that's overly simplified. Okay. And then on the other side, you have but I do think there are nefarious intents from political parties to literally transform the fabric of this country from certain values into other ones, and to transform the landscape of the country to protect themselves from their political positions and their profits. It's all about the money. Why do you think there's lifelong politicians? Why do you think they give themselves raises? Why do you think they want to expand the IRS? Do you think it's because they care about the middle class? Do I think that there's really a plot and a plan on behalf of politicians in power to take it away from us? Absolutely. Do I think it's a group of people controlled by baby's blood? No, I don't. Right? So, like, we can't think about these extremes, you know?
Yeah.
We need to be
King
thinking
Ebenezer,
about reality.
He's all in on it. He says Trump sold nuclear secrets to the enemies. Hey, if he did, like we said from the beginning, dude, like, let's go burn him down, you know? But I also want to see everybody else get burned down for all their shit too, because selling nuclear information is just as bad as diddling children. So, like, I want to see all these guys go. And I did say, Ebenezer King, or whatever your name is, King Ebenezer, I did say that if you do get one president in, then that sets a really great tone that you could go after any other president. And so I want all my other presidents to be afraid that what happens to Trump could happen to them. So at the end of the day, I'm all for it. Just like I said, I already said it. Like, they charged this kid for taking an innocent picture of a submarine, and it really was an innocent picture of a submarine, and he got a year for it. And then you had this other girl who released documents from the Air Force. She got 5 years, but then Hillary Clinton gets 0 years. Hunter Biden gets 0 years. George Bush gets, Bill Clinton. The list goes on of all these things that these presidents have done, and nobody is held accountable for it. So at the end of the day, let's go. Hunter didn't have nuclear secrets. Listen, mega morons. Okay, well, obviously you came in here with one view and one view only, so I'm not even gonna go ahead and
can't
entertain you on that one.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, have some good conversation over this, and let this be a moment of, like, asking yourself, okay, I'm watching this happen. What's really going on? Let's apply some common sense. What's the more plausible answer about what's going on here? What's plausible? I think if I was to have to put money on what's going on, I think that there is some very reasonable expectation that would have to have been met because of the knowing how highly publicized this would be, there would have to be some type of legitimate probable cause that there is something that Trump has in his possession that he should no longer have in his possession, or that he did, that there's evidence of, that he should not have done. There has to be. Not that the current administration wouldn't use that as a political tool, leverage that to do something that is advantageous for them. I don't think so. But just like Trump turning this and expanding it into some type of like major raid when it may not have been, he may also be using this for political advantage and gain. So you might have a very real situation that isn't that big of a deal at the end of the day, but it's just that at a high level, there's big players involved, and now both sides are going to try to use that for their advantage. And who's the loser? Me, Eric, you, all the listeners, because we will at the end of the day probably be just as in the dark tomorrow and next week and a month from now as we are right now.
I don't know, man. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I think that it gave a lot of energy to all the right wing MAGA people. And they're not going to let this go. I mean, say what you want, but Trump does have a big MAGA fandom who are kind of known for getting certain jobs done, and answering or asking very important questions. And this gave them a lot of energy. So if this is a card that the left was playing for a political stunt, like I said, it better be the ace of spades and not a king, because if it's anything less, these guys are in trouble, because there's a lot of energy coming out of the right now. And people love to fight, and they love to feel persecuted. Like, we all want to be victims. And now you've given the right every excuse to be a victim. You're picking on me. You're coming after us. You don't want them to run in 2024. And that's fueling this fight, which is going to make the mega events even bigger. More people are energized. Like I said at the beginning of the day, I'm not a protester. I don't protest things. But if this comes out to be some kind of bullshit and is absolutely nothing, and it was just kind of like it was just like a schematics little sidebar thing to distract us, I will go and protest. I will get up and I will go to one of these stupid fucking protests, and I'll go.
He said that the search lasted 10 hours and they went behind Trump's back based on the word of an insider. I don't know how you know that, because that information is not even out. Like, I don't know. I can't agree with you or disagree with you. I don't know. I try not to speak on things that I don't feel confident about. And this is like one of those things where I'm watching, like so many of you, going, what do I have to learn from here? What's really going on? And I try to think about plausible answers, because when we tend to go to the most unlikely thing, or the thing that proves too much, then we're probably missing some things. So we think about the reality of the situation and how that works out. But I've got to go.
I do too.
We've got to go. Your internet is about ready, because you pay for it in 2-hour blocks, and it's falling apart because they're coming up close on the limit. So they start to. It's like when they flash the lights and it's time to go. So
yeah, well, for the record, they were talking shit about your internet for like half the show. So it's just my
internet's perfect.
No, I've heard they said Tansey looks clear. He must be a Scientologist, yada, yada, yada. And now
Tom Cruise is involved somehow. I think we're all going to find out that Scientology is really behind all of this.
Yeah. It's going to be like something like we didn't even. Yeah, what if the search warrant was like something weird like that? Like, he has the proof that there was UFOs and aliens, and that's what it was.
That'd be awesome, man. It'll spice things up. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.